Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Today I have a special treat for you guys. We are looking at the high leverage TwinForce diagonal cutters from Knipex. I did a video about a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, on the Wiha power button diagonal cutters, and I want to kind of compare, see how they stack up to Knipex's. It's not really the same thing, but it's considered a high leverage diagonal cutter. Diagonal cutters and nippers, they're some of my favorite tools. I own a bunch of them, and I kind of want to look at the high leverage ones versus the regular ones versus the CoBolts versus the power button from Wiha, and just kind of see how they stack up. So I did receive this tool from Knipex with no strings attached. These do have a pretty unique design. They have this double hinge here. So if you look, there's a hinge here and there's a hinge on the other side. And the hinge is actually forged into each of the separate pieces of the diagonal cutter. And what that's supposed to do is it's supposed to make the fulcrum point basically at the very base of the blade. So the theory behind that is if you look at traditional diagonal cutters where you have a rivet in the middle, the closer that rivet is to the cutting edge, the more leverage you're going to have. So if you look at this diagonal cutter, you can see how much space is between the blades and the rivet. Now, if you look at these are Crescent lineman pliers. Look how much space there is between the rivet and the blades. They've minimized as much as they possibly could to a sliver, so they could get more leverage out of that cut, which, the closer you have that fulcrum point to the blades, the easier it's going to cut in theory. And then, of course, you have the CoBolts. If we look at these, the pivot or the fulcrum is literally right there, and these give you about a 20-to-1 ratio, and they also kind of have that double hinge design as well. And I think that's kind of what these are going for, but I want to see if these cut as easy as these. I would imagine they would cut easier than just their traditional diagonal cutters, but I want to see how they stack up to the others. Now, there is a downside to this design. So if we look at the opening, you can see that that's as far as they open. They don't open any further than that. Now, if we look at the regular diagonal cutters, the blade and the mouth, it opens far more, almost, I would say that's probably twice as wide as what these do. So these are definitely restricted in terms of how wide they open and the size of stock that you could get in there to cut. So yeah, there definitely is a drawback to that design. Now, if we look at the CoBolts, they are kind of limited in that aspect as well. They do have that double hinge design. Now, when we look at the Wiha, when the power button is not pressed, you can see that's as far as they open. They open about the same amount as what these do. However, the way the Wiha achieve the easier cutting is by pressing this button, and it has like a little camming action, which makes the ratio of how wide the handles open in comparison to the blade about a 2-to-1 ratio, which basically makes it, I would say, about 50% easier to cut. Now, these are advertising to be 50% easier to cut with than what these are. And when you receive these, you also receive instructions on how to use them. So because they have that limitation in how far they actually open, how you're supposed to go at cutting stock is you're supposed to basically score it and then shove it back. And I'll demonstrate that, kind of show you guys how to do it. And also I want to kind of compare to see if, these do indeed. I can't tell you for sure that they'll cut 50% easier, but I would like to compare them to see how much easier it is to cut with these than these, and then see how the TwinForce compared to the CoBolts and the bi-cuts. All right, so what we have here is we have an 8-penny nail, we have a 10-penny nail, we have a collated framing nail, and we have a 16-penny nail. Now, real quickly, these are rated to cut up to 3mm piano wire, 3.2 millimeter hardened wire, 4.6 millimeter medium hard wire, and then up to 5.5 millimeter soft wire. All right, so let's take a couple cuts real quick. I am going to take a cut out of the 8-penny nail with just the regular diagonal cutters that you get from Knipex. Went through it fairly easy. It really wasn't that difficult. All right, now let's compare these. Now with this 8-penny nail, I can fit it all the way down as far as it can possibly go. And let's see how this works. You know, I don't know if I really noticed much of a difference there. Maybe I will whenever we step it up. So here's a 10-penny nail. Now that took a little force there with those. All right. Yeah, I could certainly tell that was easier. Now that we're starting to get to thicker nails, and I do want to point out that these are shorter in length than these. So these are 8-inch. These are actually 7 1/4. And I will be comparing them to the CoBolts in 8-inch, and the bi-cuts are also in 8-inch as well. But as of right now, they only offer these, I believe, in 7 1/4. But supposedly, it doesn't matter. So let's continue on here. All right, so here's a collated framing nail. Yeah, that definitely took some effort there. All right. Yeah. Now, when we start to get into thicker stuff, I can definitely tell a difference. Here's a 16-penny nail. Oh. Jesus. Yeah, that was tough. All right, 16-penny nail went flying across the room. All right, let's take a snip of it with the TwinForce. Yeah. I would definitely say it's at least 50% easier. And again, these are 7 1/4, whereas these are 8-inch. All right, let's bring on the bi-cuts. I am going to use the bi-cuts with the power button activated. To be honest with you, I don't even know why they have this power button in there, but if you do want to check out that video, I'll put a link up in the upper right hand corner if you want to go back and check out the review I did on these. All right, so let's get the 8-penny nail. Nothing to it. All right, let's try out the TwinForce. Nothing to it. All right, here's the 10-penny nail. Simple. All right, here's the collated framing nail. Easy. Now the 16-penny nail, the big boy. Now, as you can see with these, I cannot fit that all the way in the bag. So, but as you can see, one hand, I'm having no trouble at all. And again, as you can see, where that's much thicker stock, it doesn't go all the way down to the pivot. So like I said, you're supposed to score it, push it back, and then cut, but I'm not going to do that here. I can definitely do it. Out of these two, I didn't notice a difference until I got to the 16-penny nail. And I would have to say that the bi-cut just barely edges this out. All right, so let's move on to the CoBolts. Back to the 8-penny nail. I imagine it's not going to have any issue. It's pretty dang easy. Of course, that is too. 10-penny nail. Nothing to it. Nothing to it. Collator framing nail. See, even that slips as well. So I would imagine it would probably do these some good to score it and then push it back, but we're not going to do that. So I feel like that's cheating. Of course, we already know how that's going to do. All right, here's the 16-penny nail. Now watch when I try to get some purchase on that, how it slips away. Did it. And once again, of course, these cut through every single one of those nails with relative ease, but I would have to say the CoBolts were definitely easier on the 16-penny nail. All right, so as far as high leverage diagonal cutters go, all of these perform fairly well. And what I want to do now is I'm going to rank them as from easiest to cut, and I'm only measuring against the 16-penny nail. I'm going from easiest to use to cut that to hardest. That was hardest to use to cut the 16-penny nail. I think you guys are probably going to have a rough idea of how I'm going to rank these, but we are going to go with the CoBolts were number one. They were by far, I wouldn't say by far, but they were definitely easier to cut the 16-penny nail. The only bad thing about these is the nail has a tendency to slip out. Now, if you look at these, and of course I did a review on these in the past, which I'll leave another link. They have these laser cut grooves in it that's supposed to help you get a better grip on larger stock like this. But you can always score the material, push it back, and complete the cut. But I felt like those were the easiest to use. And then second easiest would be the bi-cuts. The only thing I really don't like about these is the fact that it has this button. Like, I just don't understand why they wouldn't have just made them like this without this silly button. I just think it's weird. But those with the button pressed were second easiest, and then the TwinForce, and then just the regular diagonal cutters. Again, you know, these are 7 1/4. The rest of these are 8-inch, so you do have much more handle to work with. I did at times catch myself holding the plier like this to try to get a little bit more leverage, but the way I was cutting this was against their instructions, which again, they say you're supposed to score it just like that. See it scored, and then push it back. And even if you have to score it again and work your way down to the very bottom. And I have to say, doing that makes it much easier. So following the directions on how to cut it, I think I would almost put those in front of these, just for the mere fact that they're in a smaller package. Even though it wasn't as easy to cut that 16-penny nail with these than these, if I'm going on which one I would prefer to use the most, I would probably go with the TwinForce over these when it comes to cutting harder materials, just if I were to use them the way that Knipex recommends. Overall, I do like these. I would like to see them come out with a design where they have the offset, kind of like the original diagonal cutters do, but you know, they do come in a much smaller package. I'm pretty sure that they don't sell these in an 8-inch long version. I would like to see them do that maybe. I think maybe that would help in terms of, you know, giving you just a little bit more leverage. You don't have that gimmicky power button, you know, and it just does what it does. The CoBolts are tried and true. You know, you can take that same approach, scoring it, shoving it down, scoring it, and and that's a 16 penny nail. It's cutting through it like butter. But yeah, I mean, I definitely like these. I think they're extremely versatile, and definitely a tool that, maybe if you're looking for high leverage pliers that you might be able to, you might give a try too. But that's all I have for you guys today. I definitely appreciate you all stopping by. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, if you want to support the channel, the affiliate link for KC Tool will be in the description below. And if you don't want to miss out on any future content, make sure you hit that notification bell. And that's all I have for you guys. Peace.